Welcome to hell. There is no escape. There is no escape. You are in my control now. Welcome to hell.
I run and no one will hear you scream. No one will hear you
Welcome to hell, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk About Horror Team Doom. And I am back for another episode. This is your host, Walter Doom, and I would like to say thank you to everybody that have been listening to the podcast. If you want to follow me on social media, those social medias are Walter Doom on Instagram, Walter Doom 1 on Twitter, and Walter Doom on everything else that involves streaming. I would like to thank each and every one of you that are still out there listening to me, still rocking with me. You, Team Doom, are the reason why I make this podcast, because we're just a bunch of weirdos out here that love horror. Shouts out to Kelly the Wolf for the beat for the opening of the show. Shout outs to Algorithm C for providing the theme of the show and all types of music for the show. You guys are the true MVPs trying to help this show be what it is. And if you guys checked out my last episode, last episode was about Pride Month. So I talked to the homie Marco Estes, and we talked about a little bit about gays and horror and everything like that, and everything in between, and just his role in the realm of the horror sphere for the gay community. And it was definitely a very engaging conversation. If you guys have not checked that episode out yet, please do. Please do. So now, as you are all probably going, so what are we getting into today, Walter Doom? I will tell you, audience. So I would like to introduce the other half of World of Doom. She is a blogger, a cosplayer, and just a all-out incredible, friend, I don't even know. I'm making this so cringy now.
She's a great friend.
She's a great friend. Let's give it up for Meaganzworld, everybody.
What's up, everyone? I'm back. Man, my second time in this season.
Yep. I mean, almost like back to back, because you were on the It episode not too long ago.
That's true. Back to back almost.
Back to back on these hoes.
Yes.
You have to go back to back like Drake and everything. But how you doing?
Exactly.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. So yeah, I can't wait to get into this episode because, man, it was a lot of preparing for this episode. I tell you that.
Yes. So, if you guys want to follow Megan, the handles are, what are they, Megan?
Yes, it is Meaganzworld at all handles. So I'm on Instagram, kind of on Twitter, and on TikTok. So it is MEAGANZ World, and that's where you can find me.
Yep. So make sure you follow Megan Z World. Sorry, I had to throw a little insider out. If you guys didn't know about it, can you tell that story a little bit? That is so funny to me.
Right. Yeah, totally. So I was on Instagram one day, and someone that I was following did a live video. And of course, when you jump into someone's live, your handle pops up and all that. Mm-hmm. And she was she was shouting out everyone, and then she was kind of like Megan Z World, and then she kind of realized it was Megan's World, so it was really funny. But that's the easiest way to kind of spell my handle, because if I just said Megan with, well, I could say Megan with a Z, and then World is just like whatever, but I just like say
Yeah,
Megan's
yeah.
World. I just say Megan's World, then people add S, and yeah, so it's just easier to say it like that.
Yeah. I find that story very funny because it's just like, I don't know anybody else that will read a handle and just think like Megan Z World or just like anything like that. But shouts out to that creator. I mean, we're not making fun of you. It's just a funny, mistake. We all have it sometimes, I know I have mine.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I low-key was thinking about actually putting that as like my name on Instagram, Megan Z World, but that would screw everything up. Like,
yeah.
Megan's World is a Megan Z World. Like, I don't know. That was probably gonna be like my persona of sorts, but I don't even know.
That could be your alter ego.
Exactly.
All right, enough of that. So we're gonna talk about the Conjuring series today. So as y'all probably know, The Conjuring just released their latest installment, The Devil Made Me Do It. It came out on HBO Max, like I want to say a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember how long ago it was because all these weeks are melting now. And I want to say, like, when I watched the film, well, the Conjuring film, my thing about the Conjuring series is that I find the real life stories a little more interesting than the films. Before going into watching The Devil Made Me Do It, I've only seen The Conjuring, La Llorona, and I think that's really about it because I didn't watch any of the Annabelle movies, and I've been thirsting to watch those movies for like forever. And I never watched the sequels to Conjuring or anything else. And I definitely did not want to see The Nun because everybody told me it was terrible. It was just like, oh my God, this movie is horrible beyond belief. But what's going to happen here today is me and Megan, we are going to do some fuck shit and probably anger a few of you people out there. We are going to rank these films from worst movie to best.
Yeah. And how we watched it or how we decided to watch it actually in chronological order of events. So, we started out with The Nun and finished with Devil Made Me Do It.
Yeah.
That was right in itself. And
my
frankly,
God.
it was really fun watching that movie that way, or at least the franchise that way too. Because honestly, like, well, we'll kind of get more into it a little bit later.
Yeah.
But it was just like, it was very fascinating watching a chronological order and then kind of seeing the Easter eggs. I feel like the Easter eggs a little bit more clear when you watch it in that order.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Also, I want to say, if you guys have not watched all of the Conjuring movies yet, let's make this fun. I mean, I have a graphic right now for you guys. It's called a drinking Conjuring game. So whenever this episode is up, it should be up like pretty soon. So, well, whenever this episode is up, the graphic should be up too. So yeah, you guys could actually take that graphic. If you haven't watched the Conjuring movies, have fun,
Yes.
Get yourself a nice little beer, maybe tequila. I mean, I'm a tequila guy myself. I love that shit. Try and stay away from vodka because I get ratchet as shit. But yeah, I mean, whatever you guys prefer, if you want to snort cocaine and watch the Conjuring movies, I mean, that is your business.
Get a little CBD drink. That's my thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I can't imagine somebody sniffing cocaine and just like, oh man, that bitch Annabelle, go get her.
Right? I can't picture it either. I feel like that's not a Coke movie, but I've never done that, so I don't know.
Neither have I. It seems almost unnecessary.
Right? But yeah, no, that drinking game though, it's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All I'm gonna say is when you hear Lorraine so many times, someone is gonna get fucked up.
Especially The Devil Made Me Do It.
Fucked up.
And also, I kind of tested it a little bit too. I mean, I wasn't drinking, but I was drinking an energy drink, and I was just like, "Oh," he said Lorraine, and then he was saying Lorraine 4 times in a row. I'm like, "Shit."
So yeah, you guys, whatever your choice of substance or your source of poison may be, yeah, definitely use that game chart and yeah, see how far you get through the movie. But that's what makes it all fun, you know? I mean, I used to drink and watch horror movies all the time, and that I don't really do it as much anymore, but that used to be my sport. Used to be like, oh, somebody's drinking, let's drink with them, you know? Kind of fun, but anyway, we're gonna get into the rankings now before someone be like, damn, y'all need to go to like rehab. First things first, let's start with the worst. The worst, the absolute worst. Starting off with the very worst film in the Conjuring series, The Curse of La Llorona, which should not be a surprise to anybody. So, Megan, would you want to give your thoughts real quick about this movie?
Oh, of course. Frankly, I forgot this movie was even supposed to be in the Conjuring series. I heard this movie came out and then I absolutely forgot about it for years, you know? And then like when I was rewatching the series, like, oh, this is a part of it? And then watching and like seeing the chronological order chart and everything, I was just like, wait, this is supposed to be a part of it? Because it's so out of place. And like, again, the lore and everything is so fascinating. And of course they make reference to it in the beginning, but like it gets so lost. And then like technically, like as far as film production wise, it's a bad movie because the thing that I hated the most about this movie is the lighting. Like the cinematography was not good. Like the scenes were supposed to be scary, but it's not doing something like Midsummer where it's like intentionally bright and you know, in contrast of like horror movies being bright or dark to being bright, but it's like it's supposed to be a scary scene but done in like broad daylight almost. But it's not creative like how Midsummer was. It's just like it just does not look right. It looks like a bad student film, frankly.
Yeah, I remember when, before going into this movie, you were telling me how reluctant you were to going into this film. And I've already seen the film before, and I was reluctant into going into it too. The thing is like when I first watched it, I didn't hear much about it because no one didn't talk about this movie or anything like that. They talked about The Nun. A lot of people talked about The Nun. But nobody really talked about The Curse of La Llorona like that. And now for me, the reason why I feel like this was the worst of the worst in the franchise, the story had nothing to do with the Conjuring universe. The story didn't even have anything to really do with La Llorona in the first place. Like they had the character, they had her story, the lore of her story, but they didn't really present her in the way that, you know, most Latinos have been fearing her when they were kids and everything. And I just felt like they really missed an opportunity to really bring like an ethnic folklore into the mainstream of America film.
Definitely. And I feel like there needs to be more horror movies like that, but it really sucks that this was kind of like, you know, one of the first big like mainstream introductions to that. And it's just like, why?
You know what? The sad part about it is that there's a lot of La Llorona films. And actually Shudder did a film, or at least they picked up a La Llorona film that was absolutely fantastic. Like it was a really good film. This film was just, it was literally what every other American horror movie is. You know, it's a jump scare fest of just fuck shit. You know, jump scares all over the place. Very bad acting. My God, was the
The
acting
acting
just
was
terrible?
awful. Like, no, not a fan at all. There is this one scene though. Okay, it's slight spoilers, but I'm trying to kind of avoid it. But there's a scene where some people die, and it takes place in a hallway.
I want to say, don't even worry about spoilers because this movie is old as fuck anyway.
That's true. Okay, so there's children that die in a hallway, and there the lighting is actually good. It's actually pretty great how they do the light in that scene. But they fast forward to like the crime scene, and then the kids are on the street. So I'm thinking, I'm just thinking like, okay, who moved the body? Was the like what the heck? Like I don't know. There was something like lost in translation there, and I'm just like, okay, like who in production fucked up was like, okay, yeah, this scene happened in a hallway, but we're finding these kids in the street, like in this next scene. Like what?
Yeah. I thought that was one of the detriments. I also thought like another thing that was really bad about this film is like how the mother who was arrested, who was getting blamed for like her kids being dead, the ones that were like laying dead in the street, how she made a deal with La Llorona to get her kids back. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, well, if my memory serves me well, you can't even make a deal with this demon because she's out to kill kids no matter what. No matter how much you beg and plead with her, there's no deals you can make with her to make her do what you want her to do, you know. They did do one thing correct as far as like the demon is concerned, which I feel like it is a thing, is somewhat decent, is that they gave her, which is also pretty random too, by the way, which is also still kind of bad. Like it's good for like how they portray the character because it shows how the character is like still kind of human, but it was bad because it's like, what sense does it make to put it in this moment of the film? This doesn't make sense at all. Like, where did this item come from? Basically, it's the scene where the son gives the little like bracelet to La Llorona or the necklace. And even though I felt like that was a good scene, it was a bad scene to have because it was like, this doesn't make sense to add in the film because she's not after the bracelet. She's after some kid's soul because she's a tortured demon. Like this, like why movie? Why?
A movie has to movie, but it doesn't make any sense in this movie. Again, it's like that's the movie that has to go. I mean, the only scenes that actually stood out to me is the one in the hallway before, that first like scene, or not, it wasn't the first scene, but like that. Well, the first scene stood out to me because it was so bad. The line was awful, in my opinion. It was not scary, it was more comical to me. But like the hallway scene, and then also the scene with the umbrella, that shit was awesome. I loved that. The editing was cool.
The umbrella scene was awesome. Like that was a very smooth transition that they did, and some of that effects that they did to make it look like she was there but then she wasn't there.
No, that shit was cool. The top scene was okay. It still was kind of like, okay, I know what's gonna happen. They try to do some like Nightmare on Elm Street type of fucking shit. But like discount.
Oh, very discount. I mean, honestly, yeah, I think it could have been, they really missed out on an opportunity. They could have made it better. But moving on, So the second worst movie in the franchise is obviously The Nun, hands
Yes.
down.
Yeah. No, that one wasn't as painful to watch as our first movie that we're talking about, but
Uh-huh.
like it still was like cringe.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate The Conjuring going into psychological thrillers almost with this one, because
Uh-huh.
that's my favorite subgenre of horror.
Yeah.
But then again, it was very muddled and messy. And then once you found out that a lot of this was like, some of it was psychological, a lot of it was just demon trickery, then you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay. And then it just seemed very formulaic and kind of
Yeah.
boring,
Yeah. Well, it was kind of predictable to me.
And predictable, exactly.
Like that scene when they first go into like the church and they see like the nun, the one lonely nun that's sitting in that little area. Like she wasn't there at first, but then all of a sudden she appears. I already knew it was Valak.
Yeah.
Like I already knew. Like if they wanted to like trick the audience to think like, well, this is not Valak, they're doing a horrible job at it because we already knew it was her.
Yeah, you know what? True. However, I'm going to give this movie the benefit of the doubt. When you watch in chronological order, and if it's your first time watching the franchise, that's the only way it could work. Literally the only way. Otherwise, yeah, no, it's going to be trash.
Yeah, like I'm gonna have to give a fast forward for a moment because it's going into like maybe one of the reasons why I did not like this film. Now, mind you, I didn't watch The Conjuring 2 until like after I watched The Nun, so I didn't know how to like think of the nun when she was in Conjuring 2. I think they did a very good job in making her a scary figure in Conjuring 2 versus her own movie.
Yes, exactly. Like it honestly, for such a, but like, for it being a canon of all these films, very popular films, popular popcorn flick for horror, and probably having a great budget. Again, I don't know the budget. I didn't look it up, I have to admit. But
yeah.
Supposedly having a great budget, everything looks cheap. And again, like, it takes place in almost a single location, but there are some great films that take place in single location. Case in point, Saw. I mean, you can speak to that. I've never seen
Saw. Yeah.
Sorry, horror movies and shit. But like, as far as that, it looked low budget despite of all the effects. Valak did not look scary, and even the other nuns did not look terrifying.
No. Now, to go back to what you were saying about the budget, this movie had a budget of 22 million.
No, shut up.
Yes. You want to hear how much they took in the box office? 365.6 million.
Oh, dang. So they're cash grabbing. That's really it.
Oh, it's definitely, that's what I feel about just films like The Nun. They're literal cash grabs, like you would think like, okay, they're about to make a film about Valak. They're about to kind of like give us her story and maybe it's going to be like something very sinister and scary. No, it's really like I'm gonna say this. They kind of did start off on a good note with the two nuns that were trying to keep her trapped in like that room and everything.
Definitely.
I'm gonna give them props for that. How the movie progressed was just not executed well. And it was more of like the nun is right there in front of you. You guys are in an abandoned, like, to me, here's what threw me off the most is like they're in an abandoned house. And I'm pretty sure I felt like Frenchie told him like this place has been kind of like abandoned ever since the whole like incident happened. But yet they see these nuns and all these other people randomly around there, and I'm just like, how are they not questioning any of this?
That is so true. Yeah, but then again, like, for for the movie and everything like that, instead of trying to be psychological, like I have to admit, while watching said movie, like I was just kind of like, and even forgot that this was supposed to be an abandoned church or whatever, you know? And then then eventually I was like, wait a minute, no, this place is abandoned. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Yeah.
Why the hell are people like, hey, yeah, stay in this area or like whatever? Like I found that really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's honestly like it, and I know it's supposed to be kind of like a twist, I think, an attempt at a twist.
It
But
wasn't,
literally
at least for me, it wasn't a twist.
all the information's just right there. So you're like watching people, like in hindsight, just get confused.
Yeah.
And convinced that these people are real.
Yeah, I felt like the movie was confused about its own self. Like it didn't know what it wanted to be.
Yeah. And even psychological thrillers, like the point is, it's like, yes, get the audience a little bit confused, but when the answer is just in plain sight, it just looks stupid. And you're just kind of like, no, get out of there, find whatever you need. Don't talk to anybody in there. You're tripping out. You can't there's a balance. You can't make psychological thrillers too trippy, but you can't make it too obvious at the same time.
Oh yeah. 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 So
one thing I do like about this, before we move on, one thing that I do like about the film, and also a reason I don't like the film either, is how they tied it into the first Conjuring movie, because later on it's revealed that Frenchie is the guy that got that whole scene about that possession was shown in the classroom. However, they try to shoehorn that in. And then we watched the original Conjuring movie, and then they don't mention anything about the dude. The guy's like completely different, so you can totally tell. Some of the images are superimposed. They don't mention anything about, as I recall, they don't mention anything about like the blood, the blood tears or any shit like that. So like they tried to shoehorn that shit in, and everyone to seem like, oh, that's crazy, that's from the first movie. But at the same time, I'm just like, well, this Frenchie dude is like in his mid-20s. This dude that's getting possessed and it's in his 40s. Yeah. So it's just like, why the fuck?
They do keep the little bit of information about him, like his education level, and that he's like he didn't speak no type of other languages, and that he was speaking like Latin very well. And I feel like there was something else they kept in that was in that nun movie, but they didn't mention it was Frenchie, and it definitely wasn't Frenchie as the dude that they showed. They literally did shoehorn him in to be in that role of the guy that got possessed.
So I kind of wish they could have done that a little bit better,
Well, that's because they didn't plan that out. They really just wanted like, let's make a connection. It's
a forced connection. It's a forced connection to try to make the the easily impressed moviegoer to be easily impressed.
I swear right now, I'm pretty sure after hearing that, some people that probably love this movie, they're like, well, I love this film, I thought it was brilliant. And that's fine if you love the Conjuring movies. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of like possession movies. I mean, I like some possession movies when they're done properly. My thing is like, and it's the same thing with ghost movies too, because I'm not a big fan of ghost movies either. And it's mainly because like I feel like you could only do so much with a possession movie and a ghost movie. I mean, it's like, honestly, with the ghost movie, you could do a little bit more with ghosts then you can do with possession, I feel like. You know, and it's like with possession movies, it's either like the person's being possessed because of some demon, or they're being possessed over some kind of like guilt trip or some bullshit that happens or some kind of curse, you know, which is those three things. And it's like half the time you could kind of like play 50-50 ball with it. It's like, okay, I think the people in the movie are going to survive. I think everybody's going to die. 9 times out of 10, and because it's a Hollywood film, if it's a Hollywood film, the people are going to live and survive. If it is a indie film or something a little bit lower budget, everybody's going to die. So to me, I'm like, yo, I will watch a possession movie. I have no problem with watching it, but half the time I just feel like usually they're all just the same shit, you know, in the end.
Yeah, it's very formulaic. So you gotta put in something creative with it. You know, I mean, as far as like, you know, this Conjuring franchise in general, though, like I don't mind it. You know, it's some, but again, very hit or miss.
Yeah.
Even Conjuring fans know that it's very hit or miss. So yeah. But anyway, we're gonna get a little bit to the hits a little bit.
Yeah. So next movie, Annabelle Comes Home. She is the in the middle. We're kind of itching into the middle now of the worst.
Yeah. And like we discussed this whole list prior to recording, obviously, but we were really tussling between this movie and our next pick, because there was things that we liked, but there's also things we disliked. But
well, how about we talk about it right now? So because it's still a tussle for me, honestly. But so after Annabelle Comes Home is Annabelle Creation, and that was pretty much our tussle. It was literally like a tussle between which one goes first as the worst, you know?
Yeah. Well, for me, it kind of boils down to ultimately what's the most memorable, and then also what kept my attention. Annabelle Comes Home did not keep my attention. In fact, I fell asleep on this movie. I did because like half the movie, it does not feel like a horror movie at all. Like, I'm glad they focused everything towards, you know, Judy, which is Eda Lorraine's daughter, and how she fits into everything. I loved that. And it took, and you know, single location movie for the most part. It took, you know, everything was in the house. In fact, I liked that a little bit more than The Nun. But you get the character of the babysitter, which is pretty generic. Like, she does nothing wrong. I wish there was more layers to her, you know, the babysitter character. And then also you get the babysitter's friend, who has a lot of layers. However, you don't really understand her motives until like it's almost too late in the plot. But then again, you're still unclear about what her motive is. And also low-key is really stupid, because here's the biggest thing. Okay, again, spoilers, but she goes into Eda Lorraine's basement where all the possessed items are, possessless cursed items, and she touches everything. And of course there has to be that character in horror movies like that touches everything and like runs amok, and that's what all shit breaks loose. Frankly, without her there'd be no movie, you know. But it's still, but you don't really, and first you think it's curiosity, but then it gets revealed that she's grieving over her dad. So
Daniela was such a bad character.
She really was. So, and again, so it's kind of like, okay, for the first half of the movie, and you know, here's the thing, she's not even telling people like, oh, I just want to see, you know, whatever, this shit is crazy. Well, she kind of is, but you know, you kind of see her internal monologue while going through the stuff, and it looks like she's just curious.
Yeah.
But you never see her until halfway through. Oh, she's actually grieving over her dad. This is why she's doing this. She's trying to communicate with him. And I wish that was said from the jump, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
That's kind of my only thing. Yeah.
I agree. You know what? Can we admit that like the character Danielle was like Homer Simpson when he was traveling back in time on that Simpsons episode? I don't know if you remember it, but like literally that her doing that just reminded me of that episode. Like when Homer traveled in time, he was like in prehistoric time and he had the toaster in his hand. He was like, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm trapped in here right now. I just traveled back in time. What was the one thing my grandpa told me to do? And grandpa told him, whatever you do, don't touch anything because touching the slightest thing will change the fabric of time. Like literally, that's what Daniela was. So at a certain point, Homer became frustrated and he said, fuck this, I'm about to touch everything. I'm about to beat up everything that I see. And he kept going through like the different time loop continuums of everything changing and all that. That's literally what Daniela did. She went in and was just like, don't touch anything. I'm touching everything.
Like, exactly. And that whole scene, like, I know it's supposed to be frustrating. But that was a whole nother level. Because if she was intentionally touching those items, not just out of curiosity, like we think it is, but like, hey, what's something that I can communicate with my dad, you know, or whatever. But
I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate. They did show the fact that her she did have a picture of her dad and that she was trying to get in contact with him. True. So that was like a little bit. Yeah.
It was like such a character shift. It wasn't like it was late. It was such a character shift because when she first goes into the basement, she's just like, oh, you know, or she goes to Ed and Lorraine's office and then she's like, oh shit, there's peas. I'm gonna go down here. And it just looks like she's being ignorant. And then she like looks down in her pocket, you know, with the locket or whatever the fuck, and she's like, maybe I can, you know, okay, your devil advocate is kind of correct. Like she probably was initially going in there like, oh, you know, because she just found out and the town just found out that Lorraine, what they do. So, okay, I would give the movie the benefit of the doubt in that regard. But half the time it was like the three girls making baked goods and playing with chickens. And
but the thing is, we knew why Daniela was there. We knew why she was there.
Yeah, you know, it was revealed later on. Okay, so I kind of take it back. I think my biggest problem with the film, which, you know, now talking about it, I may bring it back up. But it didn't feel like a horror movie. That just brings it back down. For me, it did not feel like that until the last like 20 minutes.
I mean, but Bob's got balls though.
Oh God,
Bob's got balls.
Exactly. Like, oh my God.
Now here's the thing. I feel like Creation should have been a little bit lower on our list, even though you want to go Annabelle Comes Home. I felt like Creation should have been like under Comes Home, because just for the simple fact, I still don't get like the whole mantra of them even like bringing all those girls to I mean, I get it. It was to literally give Annabelle a soul to take over. But it just seems so, I don't know. I just didn't like the idea. I didn't like the story was kind of slow, basically, honestly. Like the story was slow.
It was slow.
And it was definitely uninteresting. Damn, I'm trying to think of something else why I didn't like this film.
You know what? For me, why I didn't like this film is it was very forgettable for me. Like, I can't even tell you what happened half the time. Like, I remember where they talk about the cursed, you know, well, initially, like,
Like the
you
cursed
know,
doll and
the
everything.
cursed doll and
Why
shit like
she was
that.
cursed. See, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
which was the original, like, and I kind of like how that was a throwback to like what the initial case was, where it's like, oh, they
Yeah.
thought it was a possessed doll or whatever from like an actual little girl, but
Mm-hmm.
then they turned to like, oh no, this is a demon in here. Like, I thought that was a good kind of like teaser for that,
Yeah. Yeah.
because my biggest problem with the Annabelle franchise is that they always go back to, the famous Annabelle case with the nurse and her roommates, that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother giving her a doll. But
Mm-hmm.
they never, ever, ever made a movie based off of that case. They always made movies like inspired by that case, but
Yeah.
not a straight up film about that, which I am very disappointed about, because that case is so fascinating and so creepy and so eerie in itself that
Mm-hmm.
it will make an amazing movie. It would.
It definitely would.
It made a missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah, I think what really, and I'm starting to remember my point, but I think what really kind of like upset me about this film, since it is supposed to be a prequel, it felt like everything that was happening in this prequel was kind of like almost forced to kind of make everything make sense with the first film.
Exactly.
As far as like the daughter who gets killed, who just all of a sudden is now like putting her spirit into the doll, and it's like somehow, some way she finds her way back to the doll, after like it's like it's one possession after another, and it's like spirit jumping, like, or body
It's
jumping.
There's so much spirit jumping in this. And then like that's one thing that I was like weird, well, not really weirded out by, but just kind of annoyed by. And it was kind of hard. Well, it wasn't hard to keep up, but I'm just kind of like, okay, that's freaking weird. But
Yeah.
based off of like what you just said, reminded me what I really liked about this film and why I'm actually putting this, I'm thinking ahead of Annabelle Comes Home, is the almost seamless, actually the seamless tie-in between Annabelle and like that film, like between Annabelle.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I loved how, the little girl gets adopted and her name is, or she says her name is Annabelle. She
Even though
has
her
the
name
doll.
wasn't really Annabelle.
Exactly. And she has the doll. The doll is in the store. I love that shit. And then it ties into the Annabelle movie where you find out that that was the girl who killed the parents or whatever. Like that's the whole like murder that happened at the tail end of the movie. I'm like, yo, that fucking shit is dope. And you find out like those are in the second Annabelle movie, you find out those were the neighbors. Like that was so good. And I was just like, okay, that's a good tie-in, especially watching it in chronological order. Like that shit was awesome. Like I love shit like that.
I mean,
and that's why I put it above, because it was so seamless.
In chronological order, it does look dope. But if you're watching it like when it was released, to me it wasn't that dope. Because it's like we already know that she killed her parents, because I watched the Annabelle movie before I watched Annabelle Comes Home. That was actually the third movie that I watched because I was excited to watch the Annabelle movie, which ended up doing more disappointment than excitement, honestly. But but I think for me it was just more of like we know that she killed her parents, but it's like, did we need this movie to kind of like make a storyline that, hey, this girl is actually possessed from the demon, and this was from the demon a long time ago, and she finds her way back to the doll. It's too much tie-in. It's too much like coincidence.
You know what? It's very coincidental, I have to admit. I mean, again, like I like the thing that I like love the most is also the thing I almost hate the most. That's the thing about these bottom tier movies. Like, it's like my favorite part is this, but that was also my least favorite part because it could have been done a lot better. And and again, it's just like but again, I thought, from watching in chronological order, I thought it was very seamless because I'm just kind of like, because I recall, like, well, actually, you do the parents' names, but again, I think I watched them like nights apart, so I didn't recall like what the adopted parents' names were, and then it was like, oh shit, that's like, that's the neighbors of this new couple. So we're going to. Is Annabelle next? Is that our transition? Okay. For the ranking one.
Well, she doesn't come up after this because she is not after creation. If we want to go into our next movie, but which is kind of like now the top 4 of the franchise movies. We will get back to this right after our break. So like you shouldn't say in a scary movie, I'll be right back. And we are back, and I am back with Meaganzworld as we are right now ranking all the Conjuring movies. That came out because this is just some shit we want to do to anger some people. So to recap, like the bottom four are The Curse of La Llorona, which is at the bottom at 8th. The Nun comes in 7th. Annabelle Comes Home is in 6th, and 5 is Annabelle Creation. You like this list so far?
Again, the last 2, they're interchangeable.
they definitely are. I don't even know how, like, which one should go first, because they both have their positives and their negatives. So yeah, they're definitely interchangeable. So right now, let's get into top 4. So top 4, number 4 is definitely not Annabelle, surprisingly, because she was not the worst one out of this, but it's actually the newest film from the Conjuring series, The Devil Made Me Do It. And my God, did they just totally blow it with this one? I mean, for it to make the top 4, it's something, honestly. But it definitely kind of, it was very lackluster in my opinion as a Conjuring movie. Considering how the Conjuring movies are, this one was very lackluster to me.
Definitely, and that's also why I I thought it was Annabelle. Like, oh yeah, no, that's right, we did as number 4, because again, lackluster movie. And since this movie recently came out, I try not to get into too many spoilers. However, it at least try to. But honestly,
I don't know how I can, because everything that I hate about this movie is a spoiler.
True. Man, but as far as like what I liked about the film, the first 30 minutes is the best part.
That's literally what it was. That's honestly, and I think that's probably how we're gonna just like jump into this movie.
We're just gonna say like the first 30 minutes is the best. Like hands down,
30 minutes are the best.
And honestly, that's what had me with high hopes. I'm like, oh shit, this is good. Like, okay, there's a possession scene in the beginning. Honestly, some of the best I've seen in the entire franchise, frankly. Like, honestly, dare I say it, probably the best possession scene in the franchise.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yo, this is actually good. This is actually scary. Like, this shit is crazy. But then it just goes downhill, and then it tries to do too much. And then it has this weird message at the end and weird resolution. And I'm just kind of like, this sounds out of place. And then
Not to mention that it was like literally turning into a fucking Disney film.
It felt like The Conjuring went to Disney Universe. Like a storybook ending of whatever. And
like this was literally, I want to say, what's the movie with Maleficent, Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally what this film reminded me of, with this little like Disney moment, like of Maleficent.
It felt there's too many Disney moments, like like freaking, especially between Ed and Lorraine, and I'm just like, which is why I mentioned about the Lorraine.
You know what? I gotta say this. Thinking about it now, Ed kind of pissed me off. In this film.
Yes, but then again, okay, we're not getting spoilers, but there was something up with Ed during this film.
Well, is it really a spoiler though? Because I feel like it's not really no,
it's a spoiler. It's a spoiler. Even though it happens within the first 30 minutes, it's a spoiler because it does affect a lot of the plot.
True. Oh no, I just felt like with what he was doing, just the way he was just intentionally doing the fuck shit, I was just like, bruh, come on. Like,
but you gotta give Ed the benefit of the doubt. He was going through some things in this film. Lorraine had to carry it along. She had to be a bad bitch, like even more of a bad bitch than she already is. Like, I love her. So
hey, all I'm saying is, yeah, you're right. Lorraine is a bad bitch because she was talking all types of freaky to Ed. She was like, oh yeah, when we get home, I got something special for you.
they be like, okay, and that's also part of the drinking game when they whenever they say something that looks like they about to get their freak on. Yeah, that whole like any movie with Ed and Lorraine, you know they about to fuck.
I swear, it's like they were gonna find like a possessed gravestone or grave out in the cemetery and just fuck on that shit, and while they're fucking, they'd just be like, castaway demons. Like,
you got that holy water ready just in case.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll cancel it out. I don't know.
Right.
Oh boy. Oh man, we crazy. We bad on here.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, that's all we're gonna say about that movie, unless if you have anything.
Yeah, nah, I have nothing else to say because honestly, the twist just really pissed me off, and I was just like, why movie? Why?
The twist was so unbelievably predictable. Like, I called it from a mile away, and I'm like, oh, that's our twist. Oh, it's right here. Okay, cool.
Oh yeah. But I'm not talking about that twist. I'm talking about like the twist on why everything is happening.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
But
that's also a twist within the twist.
well, not the big twist, but I'm talking about the twist. Well, yeah, the twist within the twist. Yeah, you're right. You're right. The twist. Yeah, because I was just like, really, this is what we're going to now. So
it was so stupid. I'm sorry, y'all. Whoever liked this film, it deserves the 53% of Rotten Tomatoes. I'm sorry, but it currently holds a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, you know what? That's justified. Rotten Tomatoes is not being a dick. Like, honestly,
oh yeah,
it's not the best movie in the Conjuring series. But the first 30 minutes, though, hits hard. I love it.
Yeah. All right, moving away from that film, let's go to the next film that is at number 3, which is surprisingly at number 3.
Right.
Annabelle. How the fuck did she get all the way to number 3?
You know what? Annabelle is sprinkled throughout this entire series, so she's a sneaky bitch. Like, she really is. But I can't
wait till people do the drinking game, though.
I I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, and you have to drink to whatever Annabelle is shown, and she is shown a lot. So that's gonna be a one sipper because we don't want to hurt y'all. We don't want anyone to go for in the hospital for alcohol poisoning. But but yeah, no, like I found it, even though it was frustrating in a lot of parts, I found it to be entertaining. Obvious Rosemary's Baby references from the jump, because for me, like, I don't know, I'm pretty hit or miss when it comes to plot lines about, like, someone is pregnant going through horror. It's hit or miss for me. I mean, and it's just kind of like, and the whole thing about, like, first, the juxtaposition of, like, or comparison actually about, okay, motherhood and trying to, and the the anxieties of motherhood, and then top of that, demons or monsters, in the case of A Quiet Place and stuff like that. I mean, it could seem very cliche, but again, like, I guess, like, it was done pretty well. There is a lot of parts where like you think what's gonna happen. It's just like, oh, okay, it didn't happen that way. But then there's some things that are so predictable that it's just kind of like, ugh. But again, it was more of an entertaining movie. There was more twists and turns, which why I rank it a little bit higher. The ending I did not like.
I did not like the ending either.
Yeah, well, okay, this movie is pretty old, so we'll say the ending.
I mean, again, I mean, I'm not against spoilers because I'm like, if you want to watch this movie, you'll watch it, unless it's like it's a really good movie. They're not trying to keep away from spoilers,
Yeah, but again, it's not the best movie in the franchise, but
it's not. But it's good enough to make top 3.
It's good enough to make top 3, but it's not the best movie in the franchise, which is so bananas because it should be Devil Made Me Do It. I was rooting for that movie, but it's not.
We were rooting for you.
We're all rooting for you. Like, yeah, no. It, like, I'm telling you, like, it should have kept that same fucking energy. But also a funny thing about who directed The Devil Made Me Do It is the same director of another movie, one of our bottom tier movies. What movie is that, Walt?
That would be The Curse of La Llorona.
Exactly. So
yeah, so Mr. Michael Chavez, I need you to get your shit together. I think I need you to attend the school of Jordan Peele and Ari Aster.
Yes, like, holy shit, man. But anyway, yeah, that's my old little rant. But I like, there's so much little okay, so going to the fact, and again, like, people might come at me for this shit in the comments. They might not, because I always bring this up. If you know the shit I do on Instagram, I'm gonna bring this fucking shit up. Yeah, that's what I do. There is so much little representation in the horror genre, especially in the Conjuring series. Like, with except there's a majority of white folks in this franchise.
Yep.
We get the one black character played by Alfred Woodard. She dies.
Yeah.
And not only does she die in like a slasher way, she sacrifices herself because her daughter died in a car crash. By the way, that's a theme in all these Conjuring movies. Everyone dies through car crashes.
Yeah, you kind of pointed that out. I never really noticed that. But yeah, that happened in Annabelle Creation. Their daughter died from a van. Well, not a van, but a truck hitting their daughter. Kind of like very Pet Cemetery-esque in a way also.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Maybe I'll put that on the drinking game. Like, whenever there's a car crash, a reference to a car crash.
Yeah. By the way, drinking game card will be coming out soon, everybody.
Yeah, we'll just have to add that in there. Like, I would say, like, take 4 drinks whenever there's a car crash. But yeah, no, yeah, her daughter dies from a car crash, and yeah, she feels shit about that, and that's why she feels the connection to, what was the lady's name? I forgot her name, the main character. You remember her name?
I will look that up right now. Sorry.
No, it's chill.
Yeah, just keep talking while I look that up.
Oh yeah, no problem. But yeah,
Oh,
no,
Mia.
Mia. Yes, that's right. Yeah, she finds a connection with Mia and her baby, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, this is how." And again, she's like a fucking like black sidekick, like whimsical black sidekick. Like it's just like, oh, she's perfect with children. Oh, she owns a bookstore and she knows how to defeat this demon. And then she's just like, oh, my daughter would have wanted this that way. Jump out the window. And it's like, wow. Mia almost spared herself for her daughter, and then her husband is just like, no, don't do it for the daughter. And then Alfred Woodard, even though that's not her character's name, but
yeah.
she's just all like, oh, okay, like I have nothing to live for.
Her character name was Evelyn.
Evelyn, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I did not like that at all, because I just thought that was like cheap Hollywood racist fuckery.
Yeah. Going back to what you were saying too, because I am also kind of like a hit or miss when it comes to like, pregnant women in horror film.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do love Rosemary's Baby.
Me
I
too. It's one of my favorites.
don't like some of the knockoffs that are kind of like it. So like this movie, like Lyle, this one's dealing with like a gay couple who have a kid, and it's literally like a carbon copy of Rosemary's Baby, except it got Michael Che in there,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very, very goofy movie, honestly, in my opinion. And it's not a good film at all, Um, so going back to kind of like to this movie and why I'm mentioning this, as far as like Mia being like a pregnant mother in this film, I get it. It kind of like gives her like a handicap in a way in the film. But it's like they didn't really try to stick to it the whole way through the film, which sometimes I felt like, well, why make her pregnant if you're just going to give her the baby anyway, And I feel like maybe they could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, but I was just saying, like, they probably needed to have that. I mean, okay, granted, even though it's a pregnancy movie for the most part, I kind of like how it was a baby, like, young mother movie.
Yeah.
Because especially like and a whole thing about like I don't know, like you could even say themes, this might be a stretch too, I don't even know if this was the intention of the movie, but how Mia had all those baby dolls and stuff like that because she loved dolls, even prior to being pregnant and stuff. So I can't, taking care of a doll, all this other stuff, and how like it's girls, they usually grow up with baby dolls and like, oh, take care of your baby, whatever the heck, type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of like how it wasn't the typical pregnancy horror movie, because it did involve like, that postpartumness of it. But even though she was like, I mean, girlfriend snapped back, she didn't experience any postpartum other than the fucking possessions. Like she was all happy and shit. Like all that, other than Annabelle being on her fuck shit. Like,
yeah. I know. I guess for me, I felt like a lot of what was happening could have happened after the pregnancy.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, again, but you need to have a horrific part of, with it being a horror movie, like, oh, is she gonna lose the baby? And like, oh no, she doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like more of like the Hind of Sharon Tate to me.
Oh my god! You know what? Which I actually kind of like the correlation between that shit because they made a reference to the Manson family and stuff. And I think that's why they decided to add her pregnancy as a reference to that.
I mean,
because
that movie came out
like,
way before that movie came out, though. Well,
no,
Annabelle.
not to like this Sharon Tate movie. No,
Oh,
I don't care about that.
Not that garbage.
Not that garbage. I'm talking about the actual case of Sharon Tate. Like,
oh,
that's
yeah.
That's the shit that they're trying to reference directly, which I was just like, okay, well, that's cool.
Well, you know, it is a reference because remember they mentioned Charlie Manson and his family on the television.
Exactly, that's the thing. And I was just like, well, that's cool, you know, like in a really fucked up way. That's cool. That they mentioned that, you know.
Yeah.
And this is Let's Talk About Horror. I'm gonna say some really fucked up shit. That's cool.
But not on the sauce talk, though.
Exactly, right. This ain't the sauce talks. But yeah, no, that shit. I thought that was good, you know, and it was a good lead up. Again, the first scene was really great in that regard. But like, or not the first scene, like the first, like that's like probably like scene 3 or so. Yeah, sequence.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I found that yeah, I'm not gonna be repetitive. I thought that was cool, and I thought that was necessary for that to make a direct reference and about kind of setting the time of everything. Yeah.
I didn't like the husband.
I did not like the husband too. He was annoying.
The husband was definitely annoying.
I mean, again, this was the 1960s, and husbands kind of like freaking like, oh, I'm working. I'm not gonna be there. Hey, honey, you doing okay? Okay, I'm gonna go back to work. Like, that's the culture.
Yeah.
So just kind of like whatever. Like he's a husband and father from a distance.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, no, the dude was dumb. Like, why the fuck do you go into the other house, man? Like, and leave the door wide fucking open with your pregnant wife? Like, dude,
he did do a lot of things that made you question, like, why are you doing that? You know, especially when he went to the hospital to see the pastor in the hospital, or not the pastor, but the priest. Yeah, after he got laid out by Annabelle and everything.
Oh, speaking of, what movie was that where you see the priest? Oh, that's the other movie.
Yeah, The Curse of La Llorona.
Yes, and then that was the other part I forgot.
Oh my God! You know what we forgot to mention, and we're kind of going back, audience, for a bit. La Llorona is not a good film to watch to be scared, but definitely a good film to laugh at.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you do the connection, the soul connection between the movies is the same priest is there.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about this dude, but he mentions about his experience of demonic possession and how he actually had to get attacked by a fucking demon to believe this shit. He claims this, and he's a priest. He's a fucking priest. Yo, what the fuck? Like, what kind of agnostic priest is this? Never thought I'll say that.
But see, that's the thing, though. This dude is blessing people's house. Think about it. This dude has been called up to bless people's houses, and he's sitting there probably in his mind like, hey, I don't know what y'all call me here for. And the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, motherfucker. All right, thank you. That'll be like $200, please. Like,
right? He's blessing, doing all this. According to him, he's doing all this performative shit, and then he was just like, "Yo, this shit is real. I got buy a doll, man.
Buy a doll, fam. What's up with that?"
Like, yo, that was just so. I fell out laughing. I was like, wait a minute, did he just say that?
But see, that goes back to what we were saying before, is like, even though they were trying to tie up loose ends, they actually made a lot of things worse in The Curse of La Llorona as far as the Conjuring universe goes. Especially that character. They literally killed that character in a matter of like a few seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Because then it was like, why did they call this dude in the first place?
Yeah.
In Annabelle? Like, why did they call this man?
Exactly. Yeah, no. Oh, messy. But yeah, I'm glad we talked about that movie because I was just like, that reminded me of oh man, that shit was funny to me. And like you, home dude, you took vows. You took vows, man.
Wait. But what about the other priest? Well, the one that's not a priest anymore, you know?
Oh yeah,
that dude was also fuck shit.
He was also fuck shit, but that's in another movie that we're not gonna talk about spoilers. Yeah, no, there's a lot of corrupt priests. Like honestly, like Ed is not even a priest, but he's like the best priest of the entire movie.
Oh,
I mean, the dude in Devil Made Me Do It though. The priest there, he was decent. Yeah, he was decent. He's the most, he's the most comfortable priest. Everyone else, especially that dude. Oh my god.
All right, well, I don't think there's anything else I can really add to Annabelle, except like I did enjoy that one scene where they had like the little girl. That's the thing. A lot of these movies have jump scares, and sometimes the jump scares are kind of like unpredictable, which I do like in the Annabelle movies. What you think is about to be a jump scare sometimes ends up not being a jump scare, but then they lull you into another scene that ends up being a jump scare, and it just comes at you. I do like that from the Annabelle series. The one scene that I do enjoy, which is also a very good transition, is when like that little girl that's in like the apartment where Mia is at, you know, she looks at Mia, she runs to Mia, then she turns from like the little girl to like the demon version of herself as Annabelle, and she runs after Mia and disappears afterwards.
I love that.
Yeah, so I think that's one decent scene from this movie. I don't think there's really much other scenes that I really like as far as like the demon possession. I mean, even though like you get to see a lot of stuff moving and catching on fire, but whatever.
I thought that was cool as far as the demon possession. It's just my biggest thing with Annabelle, though, the whole franchise before we move forward, is that when you look at the Annabelle case, when she started doing like, that type of stuff, like the real life case, like people die. People don't
that's my biggest issue with like the Conjuring movies, is that no one really dies unless they're Alfred Wheeler, unless they're Alfred Wooder, yeah, you die for sure. But other than that,
it's always a sacrifice with the Conjuring franchise. I mean, the only like casualty is a dog. Like really, it seems like as far as demon possession, the only casualty is a dog, which is sad.
Yeah.
And that's the shit I hate too. I hate when Black people die, and I hate when dogs die. Or Black people sacrifice themselves. I hate that shit.
And speaking of dogs, coming in at number 2 is The Conjuring.
I know we didn't choose the number 1, or the first movie is number 1. So yeah, that's probably gonna piss some people off, but we'll get into it. Yeah, honestly, The Conjuring is a great movie. Honestly, and again, our top 2 were neck and neck, narrow it down, but it's just like, The Conjuring, solid. Our favorite actress, Walt. Who's our favorite actress in the Conjuring movie? We keep talking about her. Who's our
Joey
actress?
King.
Joey King. She did the damn thing in that, and she was like hella young. So
yep.
we're like looking like, wait, that's Joey King. Like shit, because
at first we were looking like, who is that? I feel like I've seen her before. And I
Right?
was feeling the same way too. I was like, I feel like I've seen her before. And then I looked at the names of all the actors that were in this movie. And I was like, wait, that's Joey. Joey King was in this movie. And then I was like, oh shit, that little girl was Joey King.
Mhm.
Yo.
Because that scene in the bedroom where she sees a figure and you can't see what she talked about, but she is scared shitless and
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
Oh my God. I was watching that initially and I was just like, man, that girl could act. And then come to find out Joey King. Oh my gosh. I'm like, yes, that girl can act. Do some more
Yep.
shit.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
girl knows how to do layers. She knows how to, like, man, exactly. Because the act, she was great in the act, like that,
Mm-hmm.
hands down. And that's why we fell in love with her as an actress, the act. But I'm like, yo, she needs to be written on like other big projects, like great ones to show that range.
Yeah.
Because like again, that was her moment to shine. And yeah, no, that girl. And then I mean, granted, the girl that played I believe what's that, Renesmee in Twilight, I think she's in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the younger sister that sleepwalks. She was good too for what her role was. But Joey King, she did the damn thing. But yeah, no, that movie was great. And it just kind of felt like a run-of-the-mill possession movie though, but it was a good run-of-the-mill possession movie.
It was, but I think because of like it was based on true events esque, you know, semi based on true events. It made the movie a little bit interesting. It didn't seem like too out of pocket with like just the whole possession, just like they're going in the house. Um, all this fuck shit is happening. They don't, no one believes it at first, because no one wants to listen to the kids and what they see. Well, at least one of the kids that sees it, because she's just like the youngest one. And sure enough, everything starts going haywire, and there's ghosts appearing out of everywhere. And come to find out, a whole family died in that whole little area,
Exactly.
And the one that's getting possessed the most is the mom in the movie.
That's the thing. Yeah, no, like I again, like, and this movie has a lot of Easter eggs in it. And I loved the Easter eggs and the subtlety and the attention to detail in this movie. Like, there's this one scene, when the kids played the clapping game and stuff.
Yeah.
If you pay attention close enough, you see two shadows. So you, of course, like the red herring of it all is the the clap in the closet, which is a demon, right? But if you actually look at the corner of the screen, you see, the actual, the little girl clapping. And I didn't notice that until the second time until watching it this go around. And I was just like, oh man, that's cool. Like,
oh
and
yeah,
that's fucking weird, but you really have to pay attention to the shadow and stuff.
Yeah. I feel like with a lot of the Conjuring universe movies, you have to pay attention to the surroundings. It's almost like it feels like a Stanley Kubrick film where like, you gotta really pay attention to like the surrounding areas that Kubrick places his characters in, to kind of like see what like each scene is going to be about.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what like the Conjuring movies are like. It's like you gotta pay attention because they're not telling the story like within like just like with the people in front of you that are being like staged in front of you, but it's also within like how they stage like shadows in the background and how they move into the film. Or sometimes it's like even when like the Annabelle films, you see people move in the background and it's like very creepily. And sometimes for me, I always get those, oh shit. And like, I don't really jump to horror movies because I mean, I watch it like on a regular, but there are some movies that, they catch me sometimes. They catch me lacking real tough.
Definitely. No, I feel you on that. And then another thing too that I like about the whole franchise you do see Raggedy Ann dolls, especially for the Annabelle movies. I really like
Mhm.
that because that was the original Annabelle, or the Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll. So I thought that was a good nod. Again, because you know me, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm a big like true crime slash like ghost story nerd and stuff, and I like looking at that stuff. But I wish that they actually delve right in to that. Again, it's a little too late right now because the actors probably look different from
Mhm.
they can't like recreate those scenes or use that B-roll because I already used it. But I just like, yo, just please like petition, like give me a Nurse Annabelle movie. Like like an in between cool. Like give me that shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could use a totally different actors and actresses
They
because
could.
they've been doing that for all the films,
They
you know.
have. Yeah, they have. I don't know why I'm fronting like that. But yeah,
Let's be real, because they changed up Frenchie. That was
Frenchie.
totally different.
Yeah,
Annabelle,
whatever.
if you pay attention in the first Annabelle movie, the little girl that's in the pictures is not the same little girl that's in Annabelle creation, you
Oh
know.
shit, that is so true. So yeah, no, they do that shit all the time. Yeah, no, I just want a true like Annabelle movie with fucking Annabelle strangling a dude. I would love that. Like crawling up on him and the couch and strangling him. Oh man, I would love to see
Yeah.
that. And then people like saying, "Ah, it's a doll," and then getting in car crashes again. You can still have the car crashes and get car crashes later because you're like, "Oh, fuck that doll." Ah! That's exactly what happened.
That
Speaking of,
part.
I do have an Annabelle Funko because why not? It's part of the collection. Oh shit, it's a creation Funko. I just realized that. Oh well, I was looking. Oh, that's funny.
All right. Well, that was number 2. So obviously number 1 is The Conjuring 2. And I
Mhm.
gotta say, this movie does a lot of things possession films don't normally do,
That's true.
And I mean, again, I only have very few possession movies I like. I love The Exorcist, obviously. I mean, everybody loves The Exorcist,
Everyone does. Mhm.
but my other favorite movies is Veronica, which
Mhm.
kind of delves into like a teenage girl in Mexico getting possessed. And like, it's the first, or actually, I don't think it's Mexico, I think it's Spain, but it's literally the first case where they ruled a person's death was due to possession.
Mhm.
So that was one movie that was very interesting because that one was based off of a true event. My other favorite is The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Mhm.
That one was a really good movie.
Yeah, I believe I saw that one. That one's good. Yeah.
Yeah, part 1 and part 2, even though part 2 was a little bit sexualized. Like in that second movie, literally the demon that's possessing her is oh wait, no, I'm sorry. It's not The Exorcism of Emily Rose. It's The Last Exorcism. That my
Oh
bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like the first one was a found footage movie, which was
Mhm.
crazy. The
Mhm.
second one was the follow-up movie, but it's not a found footage movie. It's an actual cinematic movie. But
Mhm.
in this film, like the demon that was possessing her is now in love with her. So it does like all this freaky shit. Like this girl is literally like getting fucked by this demon while she sleep, and she's just like floating in the air. It's a crazy movie.
Oh my gosh, it's very Rosemary's Baby, but first. Oh my gosh, but not like Rosemary's Baby's good, but it's like, whoa, that's crazy.
But
But
yeah, that
yeah,
one
but
is good. The Taking of Deborah Logan, that one is a good film also, as a possession movie. But Conjuring 2 just goes beyond.
it
You not
goes
only
beyond.
get like a lot of fuck shit that happens, like you get like a demon,
Mhm.
and you get Anne Lorraine doing their thing, trying to fight this demon. Now the thing is like Lorraine is like, hold on, motherfucker, I'm trying to get out of this. I'm done like playing this game because they're getting too close. they're coming after me. They're trying to
Mhm.
kill me. They're trying to kill my family. This, that, and the
Mhm.
other.
And she's like, yo, I just saw hell pretty much. Like,
Yeah, I just
yes, you
saw hell.
she's like, yo, I gotta get the fuck out. I'm going too deep into this.
Yeah. Yeah. You get a family who are being terrorized by this demon. At least you think it's this one specific demon terrorizing them, but turns out it's not even him that's terrorizing them. Oh no, we got Valak herself pulling all the strings.
Exactly. And you see her sprinkled throughout, but it's like it does what was the other movie that we just talked about? It does what the nun doesn't do, which is like, yeah, kind of like, hints, okay, she's the baddie of it. But but it never, like, the film never intentionally confuses you.
No.
It is done very well, and there are great twists and turns. But going off of the possession thing, you actually see you empathize with the character who's getting possessed. You empathize with the little girl that is. And she's not like a fucking maniac possessed person like the entire time. She has her moments where, crazy shit happens to her. And then you have moments where she's normal and she can hold a conversation. And there was a possession story, like a true possession story that was like that, where it was like the person got possessed, but she was never really the same. But she had moments of like being kind of normal, and then she had moments of like, talking like a demon, like an old man, that was kind of like that type of thing. So like, I thought that movie was so good talking about that and, explaining that, and stuff like that. I thought that was great. And then also how it connects to other stories like the Amityville Horror, like that opening scene was very chilling, when Lorraine goes into this perspective of the husband, of it all and stuff, and that shit was crazy. And then that's how she meets Valak and stuff for the first time, and it was just done very well. And then there were some great jump scares.
There were some great jump scares in this film.
Jump scares, like
we even discovered where that one meme with the crooked man, where that came from, which I didn't even know he was the crooked man.
Yeah, all that. But yeah, no, there were some great jump scares. As far as like the main Conjuring movies, for the most part, like the cinematography is really good. The use of lighting, all that is great. And this movie definitely has that. It's a very like dark tone movie, very similar to how the first Conjuring movie was, which actually makes sense because it was a follow-up. But it just made it that much creepier and made the jump scares scarier. I would say another movie, even though it was towards bottom tier, that did really well was Annabelle Creation. It was, the lighting was very similar to the Conjuring movies, which I actually liked. It was a little bit more saturated because, their house was saturated. But same thing with Annabelle too. I did like the color palette of that, even though it was a little bit more saturated, it still was creepy. But but anyway, but yeah, no, Conjuring 2 kicked ass. But but here's the thing, like, it's only better than the first Conjuring movie by a hair. But
it definitely is.
They're neck and neck, but just by a hair, that extra step with the possession stuff, and actually, the humanizing of that girl definitely pushed it forward. And then also the post-credit scene is great. Absolutely excellent, because you have that audio footage, and that's just chill. And they did that again with The Devil Made Me Do It, which I appreciated. But it's still like, man, The Conjuring, though, they have the best end credit sequences.
They do. They really do. there's no other movies I could think of that have like really good end credit scenes better than the Conjuring series, you know. I mean, maybe there are other movies like maybe like I want to say Superbad had a very good one, even though that's not a horror movie. But I feel like they had a very good end credit scene, you know, well, end credits and what have you. But yeah, I do love the end credits to the Conjuring series. There's nothing really else I could put on top of it. I just really think this film is a really good film. It was really done well. It actually, I felt like it furthered a little bit more of what the movies were trying to do in the first one. You know
what? That's true. You know what? I completely, yeah, I agree with that one. That point, because, and I love how they bring it back to real life stories.
Yeah.
You know, real.
I think that's what The Devil Made Me Do It was kind of missing. Because it felt like it traveled more into more of a Hollywood realm, and I felt like because maybe from Conjuring 2 to Devil Made Me Do It, look what was in between those two movies. A bunch of fuck shit, you know.
A bunch of fuck shit, Hollywood cash grabs. So you didn't really get into like the meat of like, this is based off of a case. Even if it's loosely based, there's still that like, hey, this is the facts. Here's the receipts. This shit was real, you know?
Yeah.
This shit like really happened to these people. Like, I like how the Conjuring series shows the receipts at the end credits. And people that do know the case could look at any true crime or possession YouTube or TikTok video talking about said thing and recognize, oh shit, that's an Easter egg from this, or that's an Easter egg from the case, like all that. And I wish there was more of that, but again, you got all this fuck shit, and that's why I'm saying like Annabelle was such a missed opportunity, and that's what ticks me off the most about it. And I'm like, yo, if there's not already a petition about that, I'm gonna make a petition and share it all over the interwebs. And like, yo, horror community, come on, let's get that horror movie, true crime community, freaking ghost story enthusiast community.
Right.
All that. Let's pull together and make this movie happen.
Yep.
Man. With the Raggedy Ann doll. No, it doesn't. It could be creepy Annabelle. I don't even give a fuck. It can be
that. All right. Well, we're about to go into another break again. And when we come back, I'm going to have the outro for you guys. So be right back.
What? Now you want to get fucked up, motherfucker? What? What's up, then? Now what's up? Fuck you mean what's up? Now get my way, bitch.
So we are back for the outro. All right, so it's me and Meaganzworld, you know, World of Doom.
Yeah.
Yep. And so right now we don't have a slasher corner for the week, but right now for this corner, let's talk about something that's very interesting that I saw that came out a couple of weeks ago. Why is there a Karen movie?
Because Karen.
I swear.
And because BET. Because it was an easy movie to make during the pandemic. Because they wanted to make a version of Get Out that didn't need to be made.
It really does feel like a B-rated version of Get Out, which is really sad.
It's so sad. And I like, honestly, when I saw the video circulating, I thought it was a parody. So I didn't even look at it.
I
And
did
then
too.
I found out that this is an actual fucking movie that's gonna be
Right?
made. And I was just like, yo, what the fuck? I'm glad it's going straight to television. I'm glad it's gonna be like a Lifetime movie. But I'm like, yo, how fucking, like, the great thing here's the thing, and why Get Out can't be duplicated. It is so subtle with a lot of its references, and you know, watch any analysis video. It's a detailed movie. Also, it's a movie that talks about systemic racism for a demographic that's not stereotypically racist, which is white liberals, and talk about the duality of that, you know,
Mhm.
and kind of what's it like to, you know, how, you know, white liberals definitely can be racist as well, you know, that
Oh
whole
yeah,
thing.
definitely.
And I thought it was great, you know, and that regard, and plus all this other stuff, and also talking about it could be a well, it is a blatant allegory of cultural appropriation, you know.
Yeah.
So and you know, and only seeing Black folks for what they can do for white people instead of just seeing Black folks as people. That's
Yeah.
great. With the Karen movie, what I picture this being is just like, okay, it's talking about racist Karens.
Yeah.
Cool. What are you gonna say about Karens? People hate Karens, you know. Like,
I mean,
or
in
like
this film, it looked like they're trying to make it look like Karens have a little bit of power, which kind of like they try and make this movie work in a sort of way. Now, here's the thing. One thing I'll give it props for, it is a Black film. Somewhat.
I would, you know, that's
Somewhat.
right. Yeah.
Somewhat. Now, do we need a Karen film? No, we really
We don't need
don't.
a Karen film because we know Karens be Karen, and we know that. May I speak to the manager types? They feel entitled. You know, we know that white women in society do have power. We do know about white women tears. We know about all
Yep.
that. So it's just
Yep.
like movies like that. I mean, there's already like hella like articles this year around talking about that shit. There's already videos talking about that. Like, it's so unnecessary. For instance, if this movie came out like before Get Out, or like a couple years after, maybe, well, technically actually coming a couple years after, but if it came out as an indie film a little bit
Yeah.
before Get Out, or like way before Get Out, then that shit would have been awesome.
Yeah.
But it would have been called a different movie. And also, I think the title's bothersome too. Karen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. The title is so fucking cringy because like Karen is a punchline. Karen is also an insult to some people, but it's mostly a punchline. Don't
Yeah.
name your.
It's kind of
fucking-
like with Rebecca.
exactly
you know,
right, or Becky.
Rebecca used to be, yeah, that used to be the punchline before Karen.
Exactly,
you
like
know?
Becky with the good hair, like that type of shit. Like, yo, like it's so ingrained in pop culture. You can't have a title of a horror movie that is a punchline because it's gonna sound like a parody.
Mhm.
And that's why I thought it was a parody. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what
I
if
thought
there
it was like
a
one of those.
Becky movie? Or what if like she has a daughter named Becky? That's just gonna be fucking hilarious. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. I thought it was like one of those like honest trailers, you know, those comedy trailers on YouTube. I really thought it was one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And
Or like
I
a
found out
Funny
like
or
it's
Die
a
type of shit. Yeah, like or
yeah,
alcohol. And
yeah.
that's what it looks like. It looks so cheap. Like Taryn Manning, I love her as an actress. Like Orange is the New Black, she was dope as fuck in that. But it's just like that fucking hair and makeup, that fucking wig though that she's wearing is so awful.
Now here's something. to kind of play devil's advocate, what if the Karen movie ends up being good?
And then I would, but that's the thing. That's what I'm kind of thinking. Like, people had shit to say about Get Out when the first trailer came out.
Yeah. I had a lot to say about Get Out because I was like, Jordan Peele is making a horror movie. Oh wow, okay, this is gonna be like a comedy. It's gonna be like a bunch of funny shit, and I can't take this shit seriously.
Mm-hmm.
End up watching it, and I'm like, I love this fucking film. Like,
and that's the thing. That's one of the movies I regret not seeing in theaters. I saw it on like a plane. Actually, like I was traveling.
I actually saw it in theaters. I was lucky enough to see it there.
I'm so jealous because that's one movie. Like, okay, like I was in college when that movie came out, and I grew up not grew up, but the school I went to was in a smallest college town. So it wasn't like, it was only released in select theaters, right? So but it was only for a limited time. I didn't get to see it, and I'm still pissed. But then when, I saw it on freaking Delta Airlines or whatever the fuck I was flying, I was like, yo, I gotta see this. Just expecting, I'm like, okay, it'd be a good movie. And I was so shook by it. I was like gasping and some shit. And probably the person next to me was like, what the hell she watched? But like that was one movie I wish I saw in theaters. And if there's gonna be a screening of it somewhere, when theaters are starting to open up. But if a movie theater near me screens it, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna see this on the big screen. Like, yo, but yeah, like
but
I forgot
Karen,
what I was doing with this. But that Karen movie, like, who knows? It might be great. It might be a cult classic. Who knows? I don't think it's gonna be a Get Out. But,
no.
But here's the problem, though. Here's the problem with the trailer, and why I know it's probably gonna be bad, is that it revealed the entire fucking plot in the trailer. So this shit is gonna be awful.
But what can you hide from it though? Like, what can you keep hidden? We already know this is gonna be like Karen calling everybody. And like I said, they had to give her a little bit of power in order to make this movie work,
You know what? I'm glad they revealed the whole thing about like the cop brother. I'm glad about that. But the fucking like the Confederate soap dispenser.
Oh my god, yeah.
Like, it's the big reveal that she's she's a KKK wife. Is that the big reveal?
Wait, what about some of the reveal? She doesn't like you because you're black. But I'm black.
She's like, yeah, she doesn't like you.
Like, duh.
Stupid ass. I'm still gonna watch it though, and we're probably gonna have an episode about Let's Talk About or World of Doom.
Or World of Doom.
Stay tuned because I think it's gonna be cringy.
Yeah. Oh man. But anyway, thank you Megan for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me. This was fun, even though I'm like starting to get sleepy, but it's fun.
I know we're pretty much recording at a late time, you guys, and it is like, almost that time.
That's what happens to be update job. Hey.
Yeah. All I gotta say is, thank you, Megan, for coming to the show, and thank you, Rockstar, for the energy that you gave me throughout the show.
Not sponsored, but should be.
Not sponsored, but should be. Just like Ornitos. Not sponsored, but should be. But anyway, if you want to follow Megan, what's your handles again, Megan?
Oh, yes. My handles are at Meaganzworld. That is MEAGANZ World. I'm on Instagram and TikTok mostly. I dabble in Twitter, but still follow me on that because it's kind of lame with my follower count. Also, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the episode, I co-host a podcast called The Sauce Talks. You could check it out wherever podcasts are streamed. And we are also on Twitch. We actually do live shows on Twitch, and we are at The Sauce Media. So you check that out. It's a good time. A lot of cultural commentary and all that shit. It's really fun. So yeah, check me out on there.
Yep. And if you guys want to check your boy out, it's Walter Doom on Instagram, Walter Doom 1 on Twitter, Walter Doom on everything else. And this has been another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now. Stay diabolical, people. Peace.